multiple sclerosis this morning. Multiple sclerosis. So let me just share my screen one time so we could get some visuals.
Right.
And let's get it going here. So multiple sclerosis, also called MS. All right. So it's classed as an autoimmune condition that attacks the nervous system. All right. So both in the brain and what we call the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So in this diagram here, and the reason why it's a female is because women are twice as likely to suffer from it. So that's why the image is of a female. So we have the healthy neurons, and then we have the damaged neurons on this side. Of course, when you're dealing with the nervous system, as you could see, the things that are affected from vision to brain to spinal to mouth and speech to senses to digestive system to muscles to urinary system. In other words, it can affect almost every aspect of the human body. All right. Now, I want to go a little bit into this here, the nervous systems, so that we could get a better understanding as to how it affects us. So let me just change this image so we could get a little closer image of the neurological systems. All right, so you have the central nervous system and you have the peripheral nervous system. You have the neurons, and the neurons have something called the axon, which is like the cord that connects to other neurons. All right, so it's like an extension cord. So that's how your neurons would send messages to each other in order to get something done, whether it's movement, whether it's speech, whether it's some functioning of your organs or of your body. All right. Now, when it comes to multiple sclerosis, if you look at the word itself, coming from multus, which is multiple meaning many, all right, and scleros, which is a Greek word that means hard or firm, it's referring to when you come to the covering. These, I don't know if you're seeing it here, these little blue stuff here.
Yep, seeing it.
Right?
Yep.
Those are myelin that protects the axon, which is that cord that is running from neuron to neurons, right? So it protects it, and when you have that being attacked by your immune system, when it's being attacked by the immune system, it causes degradation of it, and that can have a hardening effect and inflammatory effect. Now, the myelin that protects the cord, the axon, all right, it helps to prevent the signal that is being sent from dissipating, all right? And then you have the juncture points, as you see here, the node of Ranvier, and those are gaps. So those gaps where the axon is exposed are sites that allow ions. When I say ions, I'm talking about inorganic ions, IONS, mainly sodium. Notice what I mentioned there, sodium. Right, so you know where that comes from?
Right.
And that sodium would help to charge back up the signal so that it is traveling from the myelin points to those nodes of Ranvier back to the myelin points, and it travels along, supercharges it, so it reaches to the other neuron. And that signal goes and takes place so quickly throughout the body. That is how you get the messages to move and do all these other functions of the body. All right? Now, when it comes to multiple sclerosis, we have to understand certain factors. First set of factors, risk factors. The people that are most at risk are between the ages of 20 and 40 years of age. Another risk factor is being female, right? Now, the risk factor is not just being a gender, because we weren't created with faults. But we do see that there are genders that are more influenced by certain things, right? And I did mention this before, that when it comes to women are more persuaded by things in the mainstream media with regards to dietary changes, right? In fact, I mentioned before that when they even try to target women, to tell women to withhold sex from men to get men to stop eating meat, because they realize trying to get men to do that is basically a waste of time. It's ineffective. So they target women to try to curb men's behavior with regards to nutrition. So women are more easily swayed, and this is what actually puts them more at risk. All right. Then you have other factors like vitamin D deficiencies. So more European people and people like in North America and stuff, people further away from the equator are at higher risk of developing these conditions. All right. Then you also see that they mention people born more in the summer are at higher risk for developing MS than other people. And some assume it's due to being born with more sunlight, but that is highly inaccurate. It has to do with the points of conception. Because if you're being born in the summer, it means the points of conception are closer to the times that there are less sunlight. So therefore, there would be deficiencies of things like vitamin D with the parents that would be affiliated with the child being born with certain deficiencies. The other thing is when it comes to the neurons in the brain, you have to understand what they are made of. And there are three factors involved. Other factors, two main factors, and then I'll mention some minerals. All right, so you can say three factors. You have lipids, which is fats. You have proteins, and then you have minerals. Lipids, fats, minerals. All right, those are the three components. Lipids being fats, and proteins, and minerals. Now, something I find quite interesting is that when it comes to healthy fats, which is the saturated fats, which the mainstream have negatively bashed due to a piece of corruption that took place in 1967 that have been corrected in 2009, but most people don't ever see the correction. So many people still have a negative view on saturated fats. And saturated fats have been proven to, from the highest degree of studies, to not be harmful to the human body. But again, people still function off of old information because, you know, people have their cognitive bias or things like cognitive dissonance, where they don't want to change from an old belief because the brain is not good at accepting being wrong. So they hold on to these old beliefs. You have many people in the healthcare system that still promote the nonsensical teachings of saturated fats being bad and unhealthy. So when you have that being taught and people are lowering their fat consumption of saturated fats and going for the polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats, which are artificial, or things that you have to put through an entire factory process to extract, and adding all sorts of harmful compounds and chemicals to it in order to get, and people believe that is more healthy, you are putting yourself at a greater risk. We also have, on the other hand, where people are telling you proteins, the only complete source of protein is meat, but you have been told that meat is not good for you, right? And people tell you, oh, meat is going to cause things like gout and increase the purines and uric acid buildup in the body, when uric acid is caused from everything. Yes, you could get purine crystals being formed from everything. So why bash the things that are essential for such? So people have low fat consumption, low protein consumption, and then you have the inorganic iron sodium that is essential for life. You die literally without it, but you have for decades salt being bashed as not good to consume.
Right.
Then you are rejected, not consuming the things that are essential to keeping your body functioning correctly, which is a form of suicide that is a slow and tedious process, but it's still a form of suicide because you're refusing to eat the things that your body is biologically designed to consume. Yeah. Also, when it comes to myelin, which is the protective coating on those on the axon, on those nerves, all right, you have to understand that there is another mineral, manganese, that plays an important role with regards to myelin production. It also helps with the... I've
heard you mention that already.
Correct, yes. So I have mentioned it before.
Manganese,
so manganese, yeah, it plays an important role, essential role, not just important, but essential role in the production of myelin, which is what protects the nerves and also helps to repair the nerves as well. But when you are consuming foods, things like that have oxalic acid in it and phytic acid in it, that directly binds to manganese and blocks your body from absorbing it, right? These are things that are going to put you at greater risk for developing such conditions.
Right.
Now, many people out here have a superficial way of thinking when it comes to nutrition, and that superficial way of thinking is, all right, I will just either supplement, because now here the problem with supplementing, if you manganese supplementation, excess of it is also harmful to the body. So getting in too much, and this is the usual problem with supplementation, you could end up overdosing on supplements. And this is a risk you don't want to take. This is why I do not encourage supplementation. All right? But then people would look at, say, let me Google foods with manganese. And they would see a long list of foods. All right? A long list of plant-based foods. All right? That are good sources of manganese. And they'll say, well, I will consume these. Because they have a superficial way of thinking. If they have it, it means when they consume it, you would get it. No. That is not how it works. There is something called, and I've repeated this many times, bioavailability. Not because something has a nutrient that your body needs, means that your body can actually extract that nutrient and efficiently use it. All right?
Okay.
That is not how it works. And this is why I tell people, you book your appointment, you come to me, and we go through it, and I explain this stuff. Your doctor would never explain these things to you. Because that's not how they are trained. For one, they are trained to recommend medication. Take this drug. So, multiple sclerosis is something that they, of course, collectively states you cannot cure. Of course, I don't believe that.
Yeah, you always say everything is reversible.
All these things are reversible.
Yeah.
All right? So they believe that you could try to treat it. Of course, treatment is never sure, and it would just temporarily manage for a while. In fact, you talk to many people that suffer with this condition, the treatments are ineffective.
Right.
Right? Now, some of the science, you could do MRIs to see if you have these conditions. And my simple logic is, why are you going? If they can't treat it, if there is no sure treatment method, they can't reverse it, what you're going and do all this testing for? Right?
Right.
Why not just deal with root cause of problems? Why not? We are so programmed to spend all our time, effort, and money behind testing, which is not treatment. Everybody running to do a test, right? I could simply buy some equipment and start testing by me as well, because it's a money maker. But that's not what I'm into.
Yeah, correct.
Right? You know how much people call me, say, you don't test. I said, it's not necessary. I deal with root cause. If I'm dealing with root causes, there is no need for testing. I don't put people on medication or drugs or supplementation or tonics or any of those things. So I literally have no need to test. One of the reasons that they test too is because the treatment causes other harms to the body that they have to constantly be testing to know when certain organs start to take on damage to put you on another type of medication, which going to also cause harm elsewhere as well.
Well, that's why you see people have these containers with like six different tablets that they have to take when they come.
Some of the medication is to combat the side effects of some of the same medication. I remember some years ago, a guy did a consultation with me, and one of his issues is he have a constant cough. And he was on 12 medications. Stefan, 6 of the 12 medications, the side effect was a constant cough.
Right.
One of the medication for the constant cough, the side effect was a constant cough. So you're taking medication for the constant cough, and the side effect of that medication is a constant cough.
A constant.
Right? You understand what I'm saying? Right? So we have been programmed into this manner of not looking at root cause, trying to get a quick fix, not understanding that quick fixes leads to problems further down the road. Like I've mentioned this before, when you break a bone, if you break a bone, How do you heal that bone? You set it in place and you have to keep it in place. So it means consistency at keeping it in place. The same way with diseases. You have to fix the diet. Then it takes a level of consistency at sticking with the dietary changes so that the issue would resolve.
Right.
What I have observed over the years is many people do not have patience with sticking to diets. Right? They don't have that patience.
I am guilty of that.
And people need to
stick
commit.
with it, yeah.
They need to commit. So commitment is something that's surely lacking. And like I tell people, discipline is the purest form of self-love. That is what discipline is, the purest form of self-love. So when I hear people say, I don't have no discipline, I hear you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly what people are saying. But if you tell people that, they'll tell you, oh no, I love myself. Well, love yourself enough to get healthy.
Yeah.
That's what people need to do. Love yourself enough to get healthy. Stop dismissing health as something by the way. It is the most important aspect of your existence. People need to stop even using religion as an excuse. People would use religion as an excuse to not be healthy. Well, my religion said this and that and the other. Your body is the temple. You can't even worship your creator effectively if you are ineffective with regards to maintaining your own health.
Yeah.
You're not maintaining the temple, so you can't even call yourself religious if you are unhealthy. We have to start becoming more conscious-minded. That's what we need to do, become more conscious-minded.
Well, Seth, of course, always interesting, multiple sclerosis people. For more information on that, you could contact Seth Viola Board at the Holistic Health Clinic, and you can do so by calling him on 7611952 or 2793935. Give him a call today, and remember, book that consultation because he goes through it in depth and in length so that you have a better understanding of what you're dealing with. And then, of course, you move forward towards the lifestyle changes that eventually can lead to the reversal of that problem that you have. So, Seth, thanks a lot, man. We'll talk again next week.
Yes, thanks for having me.
All right.
And take care.
Yeah, man. 21